Good night, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to another Sports Frenzy show. Welcome to another Sports Frenzy episode. And tonight's episode is a special one because tonight is our cricket debate. And you notice that I'll be the one hosting it tonight because your regular host is part of the debate. So let me just go ahead and introduce these two gentlemen that will be part of the debate. So first up, you have Devin, and I see the man working with the hashtag, the fact checker, who will be arguing for Brian Lara. And then you have Deemo, who is arguing for Sachin. So for everybody in the comment section, the moot is, be it resolved, Sachin Tendulkar is a better batsman than Brian Lara. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our judges one by one. So first, we have the man that is filled with the sleeveless shirts that Deemo jealous over. Big up Wally himself. All right. We have another man who this man says that he's an all-rounder, and anywhere you bring him, he's good. And he said that he would love to be a part of the debate. We're talking about none other than Ryan. Welcome, boss. And then we also have another all-rounder. This one is good across all format. We're talking about none other than Mr. Shakes himself. Blessed bro, we're gone. All right.
I'm good.
Wonderful. Then we have another man that this man loves cricket, and just the other day, this man was on Kayle's talking about reggae boys, talking about none other than one of our residential hosts on cricket topics, Stephen. Welcome, bro.
Good night. Big up.
And last but not least, of all, we have this fella. This fella says that he has to be a part of it, and we're talking about the man. He has an L beside his name, but he's better when it comes down to judging. So we have Vincent on the panels as well. Welcome, gentlemen, and I'm going to put you guys backstage so the debate can go ahead. I want you guys to pay attention keenly and judge it fairly. All I'll say is that let the best man win. I'll see you guys in a few. All right, so let me get rid of these fellas quickly. All right, so since as Deemo, you're the one that is going to argue for Sachin Tendulkar, we're going to have our first section, and that is the opening argument. So your opening argument will last for 5 minutes. Each of you guys will get 5 minutes with your opening argument. So your minute or your 5 minute start right now. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, judges. Good evening to my opponent. Good evening to everyone in the comment section. Be it resolved, Sachin Tendulkar is a better batsman than Brian Lara. The great Vivian Richards said, and I quote, "If there's a better batsman than Sachin Tendulkar, he is not yet arrived." And in a world where there are many never-ending sporting debates, from Messi versus CR7, Novak versus Federer, Maradona versus Pele, and even the one that we just had the other day, MJ versus LeBron, everyone has their own opinion. And which brings us to this one, Sachin versus Lara. As a West Indian myself, I had to take off my Lara glasses, people. I had to take it off, and I had to be very objective when it comes down to who the better batsman in both formats of cricket. Because I'm sure my opponent will have you believe that Test cricket is the only form of cricket that exists. But it is both forms of ODI and Test cricket. And after examining both stats, I get to realize that the most complete batsman from the two of them is Sachin Tendulkar, and it is very clear. But in order to get to a conclusion as to who the better batsman was, you obviously need criteria. And so for me, the criteria are pretty simple. Or we could only use instances and special innings to judge a player over their career. But it will not work. We'll think that's very absurd. So my criteria are stats, which shows your consistency, the World Cup playing at the highest level in the ODI format, longevity, and the pressure that one would have faced coming into playing for your country. So let's look at the stats a little bit before we go on. And It plays individual stats in cricket, and that's why I love it. It is own making, and no player would leave any runs out there as a batsman for anybody else to score when you're a top batsman. You want to score the runs for yourself. So let's see who has the better stats going into this. Sachin Tendulkar holds almost every single batting record there is, every single one in both Test and ODI cricket. He is the highest run getter in Test cricket with 15,638 runs, the highest run getter in ODI cricket with 18,428 runs. He is also has the most centuries in both ODI and Test cricket. He has the most number of one-day man of the match awards, one-day man of the series awards, and he's the first cricketer to pass from 10,000 to 18,000 ODI runs. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13 to 18. You get it. You get the picture. The first cricketer to reach here. He's also the only player to cross the margin of 14,000, 15,000, 16,000, 17,000, and 18,000 runs in ODI cricket. And this is the man that we want to compare. How dare you? How dare you? This man is a legend. All right? And let's talk about pressure for a bit, because we can get more into the stats later on. Let's talk about pressure. My opponent will have you believe that Lara has faced the most pressure because he played in a West Indian team who was not expected to win. But I put it to you, people, judges, and people in the comment section, that this pressure is subjective to who the player is. And in a place where cricket is seen as a religion, and Tendulkar is the god of that religion, failure is not tolerated. And anything less than 100 is seen as a failure to Tendulkar in India. I also show you that there's evidence of it, because a couple hung themselves when Sri Lanka lost their World Cup game, when India lost their World Cup game to Sri Lanka in the Caribbean. They hung themselves, and that is how serious these people take cricket in India. So for me, that is extreme pressure. And if that's not pressure for Tendulkar to perform, then I don't know what pressure is. That is immense pressure. Let's go a little bit and talk about the World Cup, which is the highest form of ODI cricket. In the biggest tournament, Tendulkar has the best record. His World Cup tally is immense and unmatched. 2,278 runs is the best there is. He's the only batsman in the World Cup to aggregate over 500 runs twice in a World Cup, right? The only one who made 500 in 2003 and 673 in 2003. He's only 4 other batsmen ever. 4 has made 500 runs in a World Cup tournament. And he has 9 Man of the Match awards in the World Cup, which is a record, and is far ahead of Glenn McGrath, who is in second place. Apart from this, in the World Cup heroics, Tendulkar also finished with a great record in tournament finals. Yeah? Overall, he averaged more than 54 in tournament finals, which is the pressure is at the highest, with 600s in 39 innings. And that, my friends, is what we call performing at the highest level under pressure. That is what it looks like.
All right, so boss. All right. Your 5 minutes is up. Now, Devin, now is your time to give your opening argument.
All right. Good night, everyone. Night viewers, night, Mr. Host, night, my audio opponent. All right. The moot is already stated, but I'm here to refute that moot, to tell you that Brian Charles Lara is indeed a way better batsman than Sachin Tendulkar. All right? Better, as defined by the Webster's Dictionary, is of a more excellent or effective type of quality. I'm going to give you 4 factors. 4 factors. These 4 factors will hit you for a 6 that will show that Brian Charles Lara is a way better batsman than Sachin Tendulkar. It's not about greater. That's why the moot is structured to be better. All those stats as my woman put, that's related to greater. Number 1, impact. Number 2, more runs under pressure. Number 3, longevity. I have something special for you for longevity because my opponent mentioned longevity. And number 4, match-winning innings. Impact, batting for longer. Sportskeeda, an independent Asian online media outlet, stated that batting for longer and match-winning ability across both ODI and Test match is the most crucial factors. Those are the 2 most crucial factors to differentiate between a batsman. Better, of more excellent or effective type of quality. So, impact, as they say, batting for longer, especially in the longer format of the game. Lara, a double 100. 9 times. Tendulkar 6 times. Okay, that's just 96. And I'm not even going to mention the 375 my judges on the 400. All right, let's forget about the 375 on the 400. Let's get into to some more statistically significant factors. Lara has 34 test centuries. Of those 34 test centuries, 19 times he passed 150. Batting for longer is on the impact we're talking about. That equates to 56%. Sachin, of course, because he's greater. His records will say greater. If it was greater that we're debating, it wouldn't be a debate. 51 test centuries. 20 of those 51, he passed 150. 40%. Do the math. I'm a math teacher. 40 from 56. 16%. 16%. The fact checker. I'm the fact checker. Go check that my opponent. Impact in ODI. In just 2 years after Lara debut, he was the number 1 batsman. 1,050 days, consecutive days he spent as number 1 batsman. Impact in team, right? Lara in tests scored 20.33% of his team's runs. Sachin 15.76. In one series in Sri Lanka in 2001, Lara has that record 42%, including a double hundred and a century in one innings. My second point, my opponent mentioned made more under pressure. On this podcast, we had this debate about batting position, and he agreed that in Test cricket, it's the most challenging, and at number 3 is the most difficult position. We agree, and we also talk about the current West Indies team. People shine away from number 3. They don't have the technical competence as Tendulkar. This Tendulkar is supposed to be better than Lara. Never bat at number 3, my judges. Never bat at number 3 in Test, which is the most grueling form of cricket. Lara, let me give you his average in Test, 60.47. At number 4, Lara, 51.26. Tendulkar at number 4 after Gambier and Ganguly and Lachman and Sehwag beat the shine off the ball at number 4, he got 54. Never come at number 3. Number 5, 59.6. Let me give you something else with his number 4. After you had all those players to beat the shine off the ball. 37 times when he came in at 4 before the total reached 20. Go fact check this again. I'm the fact checker. 15 times he got dismissed for a single digit. 15 times. Awful. He wilted under the pressure. Teammates. Let me tell you about the teammates now. In a weak West Indies team. But let me tell you about Tendulkar. Listen to these teammates. Sehwag the opener. 49 test average. ODI 35. My judges, take notes. Ganguly 42 in test. These men would have come in before. 41 in ODI. Gambier 42 in test. ODI 39. Dravid, The Rock 52 in test. ODI 39. VVS Lachman 46 in test. Listen to Lara. I want to cry for Brian Charles Lara. Oh my goodness. I feel like crying. Stuart Williams 32.4. Devin Smith 23.6. Sherwin Campbell 31.4. I'm not even going to go any further. Universe boss Chris Gale, thank you wherever you are. He was the saving grace for Lara. He had a 42 in test, 37.8 in ODI. In ODI. That's what my opponent had to. That's what Lara had. So he always coming under pressure. You talk about pressure. Longevity, you mentioned longevity. Let me tell you about longevity. I told you I had something special for longevity for you. Mukil Kesavan, go fact check this. An Indian historian in his comment, in his article, Dying of the Light, said that this man is an Indian, not a Pakistani, not a Sri Lankan. In the twilight of his career, Tendulkar diminished along his illustrious record. His longevity is not what it seems. He was just more focusing on getting that century across both formats for tests, because he has that record. That's why he's great, but it's better we're debated. He was just stats padding, and Indian said that, right? But that's his opinion. But let me give you the fact from that. In the last 25 innings, Lara averaged 45. Tendulkar last 25 innings, as he gets older, he gets worse. 28 from 45, 17%. My judges, 17%. Last point, match-winning performances. Across the cricketing Bible, Wisden is the cricketing Bible. Top 15 performances. Lara has 3 in the top 15. Number 14, number 10, and number 2. The number 2, the 153 against Australia, right? That's only behind Sir Don Bradman, who is considered the greatest of all time. All right, say Wisden, and my opponent talk about tests and ODI. Cricketbloggers.com, not as official as Wisden or Cricket Info, which I referred to before. They did this thing for the greatest batsmen in the last 2 to 3 decades. Listen to the factors. We don't have time for all the stats. Batting with the tail, coming in under pressure, winning a match. Number 1, Ben Stokes. Number 2, Steve Waugh. This is across ODI and tests. Number 3, VVS Laxman, his teammate, who was also in the top 10 for Wisden at number 6. Tendulkar was not at number 20. In the top 4, in the number 4, the final one, Brian Lara. Tendulkar was nowhere to be found. He wilted under the pressure. who will take down under the pressure. That ODI in World Cup victory in 1983, like I was telling you about, even though he had the second leading run score in that tournament, I did some research. I'm going to help you, my opponent. I did some research, but what I will tell you is that, and I have that in my list here, he made 120. He lost to England with a century. 111, he lost to South Africa in that century. In the final, he made only 18. Disappear when the pressure comes most. Disappear when the pressure comes most.
That's it. Your 5 minutes is finished. So, Deemo, you have heard all that Devin has stated. Now is your time to jump into your 3-minute rebuttal. And your 3 minutes starts right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Host. So, I just want to point this out. Sachin Tendulkar has scored 33 match-winning hundreds for India. 33. And overall, he has 62 match-winning innings for India, while Brian Lara has 30 match-winning innings for West Indies. 30. I can give you other stats, right? Because I heard a lot of talking and a lot of talking. Tendulkar played for an average team at the start of his career. Ganguly and Dravid, they came into Test cricket at 1996. 7 years after Sachin made his debut. Laxman came into cricket in 1997 and he became a regular in 1999. Sehwag came in 2001. So Sachin debuted in 1989. He wasn't playing with these guys for 7+ years. So all of the runs that Sachin played, of the 200 tests that Sachin played in, India won 72 of them. You know what his average was in that time? 61.93. That therefore means that he was one of the main contributors to his team's success. He wasn't no dibby man we're hiding from the strike. He was one of the main contributors at 61 was his average when he came in. And let me just give you an example of one such innings. At 17 years old, Sachin came in when India were battering at 127 for 5 against England, Graham Gooch's team. This little boy at 17 years old batted for 4 hours to make 119 not out, with a match-saving 100 at 17 years old, while Brian Lara was there playing regional cricket. Listen to me. Most of these ODIs, when Tendulkar batted down the order for India, he was in his teens when players like Lara was playing regional cricket. Tendulkar slided up at age 21 to bat up the order because his rise was obviously seen and his prowess was seen. And he peaked out around the age in the 1800. Tendulkar really batted down the order since 1994. So it no make no sense to bringing up batting order. Why are you bringing up the batting order? I don't get it, right? So let us not act as if when Brian Lara made some of his runs, it was all about this weak West Indies team. When Brian Lara made 375 in 1994, Jimmy Adams was the #1 batsman in Test cricket at the time. Jimmy Adams. You need to go and do some research, Mr. Fact Checker. He was also the batsman, the #1, and Adams, and he has an overall average of 42, the same as Ganguly. Go and do some fact checking. So don't act like this West Indies team was some baby team. Also, Rahul Dravid has a similar average to Shiv Narayan Chandapal, who was also in that team. So don't make it seem as if Brian Lara didn't play with anybody and he was always struggling. If Brian Lara is this great batsman, my opponent, why is it that whenever the series finish, that is when he seems to come up with these big scores? I will save that until we get into the question and answer section. But we need to look at it and realize that Tendulkar scored his runs and he was the most influential, one of the most influential when it comes on to India with 61 average when he is there to bat for his team.
All right, Devin, now is your time to go ahead with your rebuttal.
Oh, my opponent's rebuttal and his facts is like him bowling a full toss. I'm not even hitting it for 4. It's like I'm hitting it for 6. Yo, come on, man. Let me help you with this research. First, you start off by saying Viv Richards. Telling me about Viv Richards. I could tell you about 10 different persons who said that have some way better comments. Greg Chaplin, Mutaya, Ganguly, his own teammate was saying, on a podcast saying, if Tendulkar is the best batsman, where he make all these runs. And I even though I disagree with Ganguly about making his runs wherever in the continent or whatever, that I don't go with that stat. But he also disagreed that Tendulkar is the best batsman. So don't tell me about what Viv Richards said, starting by saying what Viv Richards said. You talk about teammates. I have the list of the 110 teammates that Tendulkar had, right? When he just started, there's a guy named, you failed to mention, Mohamed Azharuddin, right? You failed to mention some of those great teammates that he had with those healthy averages. And the point of me mentioning teammates, and we talk about batting position, is where he batted. When Tendulkar came in, most time he did not, most time the shine was taken off of the ball because the openers, you know, when the opening partners we changed, the openers were there with those healthy averages. I look at the people who come before. So don't tell me about Shanda Paul. Don't tell me Shanda Paul. Lara always batted above Shanda Paul. Right? And when I was telling you about the World Cup in 19, and you mentioned World Cup, I already hit that part of out of the park. Because in the final of that World Cup that you mentioned, that one title, even we could draw the parallel that when Lara didn't win in the World Cup, when Lara won the Champions Trophy, I'm going to give you a fact that you should check out, even though it's debatable, right? He had a poor average winning that Champions Trophy back in the 2000 when Bradshaw and Courtney Brown saved them in the final. But his average was like 30-something. But one of his innings, a lot of the greats equate one of the innings to be better than some of Tendulkar's century that he made in that World Cup winning victory. Lara made an innings on pressure. He was 49 against South Africa. And when he came in, West Indies was like 8-2. Chris Gayle was having a good tournament and they lost Chris Gayle early and they were under the pressure. Lara come in and made 49 of like 30-something balls. They equate that 49 to be much more significant than that World Cup that you mentioned with 111, which was a loss against South Africa, and that 120, which was a loss against England. So don't tell me about World Cup. Don't tell me about ODI World Cup. Back, as I mentioned about the longevity as it referred to Brian Lara and Sachin Tendulkar. Tendulkar, don't be fooled. He was more concerned about getting this 100th century across both formats, which is clearly stated, and the facts show you. Just like with LeBron in basketball, as he get older, he got better. Tendulkar, as he got older, he got worse. Lara, as he got older, graced with fine wine. They said for innings to be statistically significant in cricket, he had 20 innings. And I gave you the last 25 innings, just to remind you. Last 25 innings, Lara, 45. Tendulkar.
All right, Devin. All right. Time is up. Now, before I move on to the next section, I just want to tell the people in the comment section that ensure that you guys like the video. And since you guys are enjoying it, come on, man. Share it, man, so more people can tune in so we can get it up. Because I see that you guys are enjoying it. So I'm going to switch now and switch into gears. And this is where we're going to go into the questionnaires, and each opponent will get to ask the other 3 questions. So this time around, I'm going to start with you, Devin. So
Okay.
Devin, go ahead. Start.
All right, my first question. All right. Sportskey, as I mentioned, some independent online outlet. Said that test match batting is the real test of a real great batsman, even though one day is also significant. Do you agree that a test match performance, batting performance, is more significant than other format of the game when distinguished between two players to say who is better? Do you agree, or almost do you agree or disagree with that statement to say test match performance is more significant than other formats of the game when distinguishing between two batsmen? How much do you agree or disagree with that question?
All right, so Deemo, you have 2 minutes to respond.
All right, so for that question, it is quite easy to answer. Listen to me. When comparing two batsmen as to who is the better batsman, I am not going to separate Test cricket from ODI cricket because both will take in consideration who is the better batsman. So there is no separation for if Test match is better than ODI when comparing Brian Lara to Sachin Tendulkar. And that is what my opponent will try to do to you people and the judges. He will try to make it seem as if Test cricket is the only form of cricket because he wants to highlight 400, 300 and all of these things. But combining both ODIs and Test cricket is very important when it comes on to debating who is the better of the two players. So both are very important.
All right, Deemo, now it's your time to ask Devin your first question, so go ahead.
All right, so this is my question, my first question to the fact checker. In The 1996-97 tour of Australia, Brian Lara went there 4 test matches. He flopped. In the 5th one, a dead rubber game, came up and popped up with 132 average flyout. 2005, went back to Australia. His scores were 5, 36, 30, 14, 13, and 45 when the series was alive. Once the series was done, boom, 226. My question therefore is, why is it that Brian Lara seemed to only have a knack to show up whenever a test series was done or it was a dead rubber? Why is it that when the series is alive and well, a lot of the times he seems to fail in those big time innings?
All right, Devin, go ahead and answer. You have 2 minutes.
That's happened to every batsman. That's totally false. That's totally false. Since you asked that question, what about the series in the Caribbean when he made all those runs and he made that 153, made that 213 in Sabina when he was under pressure with the captaincy, they threatened to take over the captaincy and he come back? Why you don't mention that? Why I could mention about going to Sri Lanka where if Brian Lara was removed, we would have been solid. We would have been solid. So those innings happen to every batsman. I could point out a lot of innings where Tendulkar failed. I could tell you where Tendulkar failed. So him going to Australia and in that time, I remember one of those times when he was under pressure. And why didn't ask me in one of those same thing when he was under pressure, right? And his score was 31 for 2 and he made 277 in his debut down there in Australia. And during that said period when you're talking about it was a dead rubber, he was in a terrible team. Not much what I was expecting. West Indies never started as favorite. West Indies wasn't given a chance. If Brian Lara didn't make runs, then the team would have failed. He was under so much pressure. And he showed in many other occasions that he excelled in such pressure. So don't pick and choose one of the series where he failed to come and ask me. When I could tell you how many of the series that he was outstanding that led to the West Indies victory.
Okay. Devin.
Question, man. All right.
Okay, Devin, go ahead and ask the second question.
All right. So you mentioned about pressure and I mentioned about pressure. Which batsman between Brian Charles Lara, all right, or Sachin Tendulkar, do you think had to bat under more pressure given their current team?
That's the question?
Yes.
Okay. So as I would have mentioned in my opening statement, pressure is very subjective and relative to the context of the player. And I believe that Sachin Tendulkar, again, with India being seen cricket as a religion, which Tendulkar is the god of that religion, faced a lot of pressure to score his runs, regardless of the team that he's playing. India is out there to perform. And so for me, it can also be seen if West Indies had this poor team and expected to lose every game, was Brian Lara really batting under pressure? If when they go out and the team is so weak, was he really under pressure to win games? Because I remember when Ireland went to play against England, nobody expected Ireland to win. It was expected for them to lose. And they played free-flowing cricket because they had no pressure. So for me, both players play under pressure. But for me, Sachin Tendulkar, with the responsibility to win and to make runs, in a cricket culture that sees it as a religion, which he is the god, and I can take off the camera to show you people showing that cricket is my religion and Tendulkar is my god, that is how they view cricket. So for me, Tendulkar played under immense pressure when going to play cricket.
All right, Deemo, go ahead and ask your second question.
Yeah, so my second question is, there's a lot of talk out there that, you know, when Tendulkar made his hundreds and he made his runs, it's at home. Why is it that when Brian Lara went over there, because they said that the pitches over there is set for Tendulkar to make runs, why is it that when Brian Lara went to India to play cricket, on those said dead pitches, he didn't seem to perform when he went there? That's my question. Because the pitches are dead for Sachin, you know, but somehow it's not dead for Lara.
All right, Devin, your 2 minutes start to our response.
All right, so let me help you to restructure that question because nobody said anything about India. It was said about the subcontinent and in the continent. I didn't mention anything about that. But since as you mentioned about it, it has nothing to do with India because if you mention all of those, when you look at it, we're batting anywhere. Like I said, it's only a thing probably in New Zealand where Brian Lara, because I have all of those stats. Because I said I did my research for myself and I did it for you. But Lara in the subcontinent proved that he did well in there. Nobody said that he had it there in India. Nobody said they set it for India. They talk about subcontinent in general. And Lara proved in the subcontinent, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, everywhere there, that he made runs. Against one of the greatest spin bowler of all time, he dominated that bowler over there in the subcontinent. So instead of, don't ask a question about India. I didn't say anything about India. Nobody ever mentioned about it. They mentioned subcontinent. So I think you should have structured it by saying subcontinent. And my batsman, Brian Lara, show you that he dominated them in the subcontinent. Of course, Lara may not have made all that runs down there. If you check overtime, and of course he played more innings, which is Sachin Tendulkar. He would have had better averages going all across different countries and different touring countries, because played more. Again, you talk about that in a batting position where he came in. Most time he didn't come in on much pressure. Don't tell me about what you believe in terms of what people say and how they view cricket there, and that's pressure. We're talking about match situation. Don't tell me about what you believe. We're talking about the statistics, what it says, and what you have said in terms of batting position. Brian Lara under pressure, and anywhere it goes, so that subcontinent argument about India, that's nothing to ask me. That's nothing to answer. Brian Lara would have made runs in the subcontinent. So if he doesn't make runs in India and Sachin make runs in India, Brian Lara better record in the Caribbean, more like any other batsman now when they go away.
All right. So Devin, your final question in the
This is my final. On this podcast, and specifically when we were saying, okay, in batting position with Steve and all the other people who was on the thing, you said that like number 3 is such a difficult position because between Brooks and our guy Banner, you know which is this, because they're kind of shy away from it. They shy away from it, but it's because of like probably any stay away from it, and that is what we're talking about. So, being the great batsman that Sachin Tendulkar that he was, 2-part question: why was he afraid of batting at number 3? I was afraid of batting at number 3 in the Test format, and why is it that when my batsman are under the pressure, we're not talking about West Indies coming in under pressure and people chastising him. We're talking about match situation. Most times, Stuart Williams or everybody was out. Why is it when he's under pressure, he exceeded so much at number 3, which you agreed on a previous podcast, that is one of the most difficult positions to bat with a 60 average, and Tendulkar, only when he dropped down to number 5, he had a higher average. So the first question is, why Tendulkar was afraid of batting at number 3 in Test, and why is it that when my batsman bat at number 3, he had a way superior average, over 60, and Tendulkar in the 50s, but he only increases average when he dropped down the order? Why is that so? When he dropped down the order, he increases average.
All right, Deemo, go ahead and answer.
So I'm supposed to answer why Tendulkar averages more when he bats down the order. That's the question, because I heard it was 2 parts.
2 parts.
Yeah, so that the first
what
one.
What attribute for him being the greatest batsman in the team, not batting at number 3?
Okay, so again, let me say this: the position where you bat when determining who is the better of 2 batsmen will not define who is greater. It is the runs that
Not
you make
greater,
statistically.
not greater, it's better.
Listen to me, let me finish answer a question. It will not determine who is the better batsman. It is the runs that you make when you get the opportunity to bat. I told you before, when Tendulkar was batting down the innings, he was a young team. You know, he came out and on debut in Test cricket, he made 100 when India was struggling at 127 for 5. At 17 years old, he came and he made a lot of runs. Now, it doesn't matter where he bats. Whatever the runs are at the end of his career compared to the next batsman who is being argued or debated against is what we look at the end of his career, not the position where he bats. That doesn't matter. You get the chance to bat, you make the runs when you get the chance to bat. And that's my answer. I don't know what the second part of the question.
All right, never mind. Okay, Mr. Dobbs.
All right, Deemo, go ahead with your final question. You're muted.
So my final question is, how is it that we can compare a batsman who has all the records for batting individually in both formats of cricket to another one who struggled a lot more than Sachin did in ODI format? Why is it that we want to take away the ODI stats and only focus on Test cricket when it comes on to Brian Lara? That's my question to you. Why don't we want to use both and we want to separate Test from ODI to see who is the better batsman?
I'm trying to figure. All right. So there are so many variables to look at that. ODI average. Nobody's separating that. ODI average, right? 40.48 for Brian Charles Lara. Sachin Tendulkar, 45.16. 45.16. All right. Let me teach you something about statistics and something being statistically significant. There's a plus or minus margin of error. There's a statistics thing when you're doing statistics they call competency. So once something is either of a percentage, 5% or more, they generally give you a plus or 5 plus or minus 5, or sometimes some stats use a plus or minus 3. Let's use plus or 5. All right? Plus or minus 5. Plus or minus 5 with these averages, 40.48, 45.16. Nothing statistically significant when you compare those two to talk about. Nothing statistically significant. Same thing with this test average, 56 for Tendulkar, 52.88. That difference is if you use plus or minus 5, nothing statistically significant. When I show you about batting longer, take out the 400, take out the 300, and this percentage, when I show you earlier, 56 for Lara and 40 for Tendulkar, significant statistics, 16% differential when batting for longer, when I show you those statistics. So those ODI things, it's not even worth talking about. That's why, because when you look at it, even though you may not know, he played for more, he played longer, right? And he was struggling as he go on, and he's trying to get these thing. That's why the moot is not about greater. We're not separating ODI. It's not statistically significant to worry even mention. That plus or 5 minus margin of error. Some statisticians use plus or 3 margin of error. The plus or 5 minus I will use. None of them would separate overall. Not significant to talk about. Not significant to mention. So that ODI, a no-show. I show you what that's statistically insignificant, my opponent. Fact check that again.
All right, so we're now into the final section of our debate. And this time around, since Deemo went first with the opening argument, I'm going to start with you this time, Devin, with your closing argument. And your closing argument is for 2 minutes, and that will start right now. So, Devin, go ahead.
So, all right. Tendulkar, right, has shown that with his batting and all his records, he's just going for this record. And that's why the debate is not about greater. If it was greater, you didn't need to put nobody up here. If you get the greatest cricketing mind in the world, right, he could not argue against the next person who has no knowledge about cricket, say my wife, to say that Brian is better because he's greater. You could not get him to argue that. It is better, and let us manage that. So, and my opinion is making this make believe about mind and pressure and batting and religion. Cricket is religion. West Indian take cricket seriously too. Stop telling me about religion and what they're talking about. Stick to the facts. Stick to the stats. Stop telling me about make believe. Tendulkar can't manage the pressure. He had his teammates taking all the pressure for him, because there's something that I did mention to you too. When he came in, when it was 20, a score of 20 to 49, his average went up to 51. When he bat early, when his score was like 20, average 20 when he lost of cricket, which was Brian Lara's like reality every time. Don't tell me about make believe and cricket is religion. When he come in when the score was 20, average dropped to 40.53. Brian Lara, Devin Smith and all those people, it's like he's going to bat with the score at 9 for 2 or 9 for 3. That was Brian Lara's reality. And he consistently delivered. So some one-off series we may not have made as runs as you would like, okay? As a match winner, right? Sachin wasn't the leading run scorer in 2012 for the ODI World Cup that you mentioned. The 2 centuries that you could remember, he lost and he performed poorly in the final. So my batsman, Brian Charles Lara, is the way better batsman in test match, which is the most grueling. And in one day, there's nothing much to separate them. In that Champions Trophy I show you, people can equate it to say like Champions League and World Cup football. Yes, he had the World Cup, but Brian Lara can say he won something in the Champions League, which he lead his team to, and he had a crucial 49. He didn't have a good speed that, so that's the only thing I could give you. All right, but Sachin will take under the pressure generally because he had these superior teammates, which you agreed to in the batting position before, that would have taken the shine off the ball for him, both in ODI, both in Test. Even though sometimes he opened ODI, still had a better team. There was much pressure. Brian Lara, if he didn't make runs, the team will fail. That's immense pressure. Don't tell me about Sachin that was thinking about what the people in India are going to say. That's why you have to make
All
runs.
right, Devin.
Tell me
All
about facts.
right, all right, Devin. All right. Deemo. Now is there 2 minutes with your closing argument, and that starts like right now.
All right, guys. So let's bring this home. Let us take our Lara glasses off as Caribbean people. Right? Sachin Tendulkar, under severe pressure, managed to get better stats. He somehow managed to show his amazing level of consistency in both formats of the game. He managed to perform and dominate at a world-class level in World Cups, and his longevity remained unmatched by many, doing what he does for how long he did it. Tendulkar is a better batsman than Brian Lara ever is and ever will be. Everything points to it. Stats, pressure, all of these things, as I have suggested to you. Let us just take the glasses off, remove the bias, and look at the stats presented in front of us. Sachin is 8,000 runs clear of Brian in ODI cricket, with an average of 49, and playing less innings does not guarantee that Lara would have made any runs. Playing less innings does not guarantee runs. The facts are he's 8,000 runs clear, he's miles ahead in everything else, and so that shows us that Sachin Tendulkar is what they call, and I don't want to blaspheme here, the god of batting, and he will forever be such. He is clear of Brian Lara. Just take the glasses off, and when we do that, we will agree that Sachin Tendulkar is the better batsman of the two.
All right. So this is where the debate ends, and thank you, both of you guys. Wonderful debate from both of you. Now I'm just going to get the judge, in which, I mean, I wouldn't like to be a judge right now, but they have a job on their hands to do, so I'm going to bring them on one by one. So there is Mr. Iron Man himself. He's back on. Vinny is also back. Ryan also back. Sheikh is also back. Stephen, linking back pass. Now, I'm going to start with you, Wally. So you have heard these guys arguing for the last around, 14 minutes thereabouts. Now, go ahead and let us hear who you have judged this debate.
All right. So, night everyone. So I broke down the debate into 5 sections: the opening, the rebuttal, the questions, the response to questions, and closing. So, not hearing me? Not hearing me? You hearing me?
No, may I get a feedback? I don't know who. Tell them mute them mic, Levin.
Go on.
Right. So I broke down the debate into 5 categories: opening, rebuttal, questions, response to questions, and closing arguments. All right. So first up, Deemo. First of all, it was an excellent debate. Excellent debate. Absolutely excellent debate. Top notch, top class. More than ESPN worthy. There was a lot of substance to the debate, and not a lot of extraneous information. And not a lot of anecdotes. Really on point delivery and analysis, as well as response to questions. Getting down to it though, the opening. So I gave the opening to Devin, and I'll just break down why. So Deemo started out by defining his criteria, but he didn't actually define what better means, because that is the premise of the debate. So in debating, the first thing you need to do is define what better means. That will then guide the audience and the judges to know that you understand what it is you're actually defending. So Deemo didn't do that. He gave some excellent statistics. However, the debate wasn't about who is greater, it is about who is better. So he spoke about stats, he spoke about the World Cup, he said that the World Cup is the highest in terms of one day cricket. It presents the highest amount of pressure. That's reasonable superficially, but when you really analyze it, Deemo did not give any instance where India in the World Cup was facing any significant target, either chasing or when Tendulkar came in, he a lot of wickets were down. So we've seen over and over where on multiple occasions World Cup matches were won. The team ran one run going away. So just mentioning the fact that the World Cup is the highest level in and of itself can't stand alone to substantiate the point that can't stand alone to substantiate the point that Tendulkar really faced a lot of pressure at the highest stage in the where the one day format is concerned. He also mentioned longevity in his opening argument, and he really didn't give much information concerning that where longevity is concerned. And then where pressure is concerned, he pretty much relied on anecdotes, talking about persons who hung themselves and extrapolating that to mean that would mean that Tendulkar is facing a lot of pressure. So that was more anecdotal information relating to pressure. While Devin, one, he defined what better is, and then his whole presentation went around so supported his definition of better. He spoke about pressure, and he cited instances with batting with the tail, which of course is clear to persons with basic cricket knowledge and in-depth cricket knowledge that batting with a tail ender would be a pressure situation as opposed to batting with a more experienced batsman. Devin also made some excellent points about the quality of opposition, and that also the scores that Brian Lara would have come in, again emphasizing the point of pressure. So all the criteria that Devin listed concerning better, he delivered excellently with where the opening arguments are concerned. So Deemo was eloquent in his delivery, very witty with the Lara glasses, but on close examination it lacked some substance as it relates to substantiating the criteria he outlined. For the rebuttals, so I gave the rebuttals to Deemo. It was a very close one, but Deemo was able to refute some of the things that were said with respect to Tendulkar being able to bat under pressure. I think he made an excellent point in terms of where Tendulkar batted early in his career. He could have gone a little bit deeper to kind of indicate what were some of the scores that he would have come in at when he batted earlier in his career. But I think his rebuttal was very good. Devin rebuttal was good. Devin's rebuttal was good as well, but Deemo just edged him more because Devin was able to also counter with respect to the order. He really drove home the point about the order of the number 3 batsman. You know, Deemo kind of shied away from that. Tried to skillfully dodge that point, but Devin didn't give him the opportunity to escape that. So he drove that home beautifully in his rebuttal. But Deemo just edged him out in the rebuttal section. For the question and answer section, I give that to Deemo because so Devin basically asked open-ended questions. He basically gave him the opportunity to go on his platform and drive home his his point about Lara being the better person. So he asked him open-ended questions. What is your opinion on who is the better batsman in essence? So you can't be asking your opponent who is debating somebody and batting for somebody, no pun intended, who you think is the better batsman. He's going to respond in one way and one way only. While Deemo, on the other hand, he really asked some pointed questions about Lara in terms of match winning innings, in terms of India, as well as he made some points about only coming alive where the when the game is done and dusty. I think Devin made some excellent counters by bringing Deemo to
Speed it
answer
up,
to the
Wally.
fact.
Speed it up. Speed it up.
Yeah, man. So bringing Deemo to answer to the fact that he had other match winning innings. So I give that to Deemo there. In terms of the response to questions, I give that to Devin. He was able to in a very excellent and articulate manner. He was able to respond to all the things that Deemo put forward. He was even able to correct some of the questions that Deemo was posing and put some statistics and context. So I give Devin the edge where response to questions is concerned. And in the closing, I give Deemo the closing, slight edge on the closing. It was very close, but I think
Walla
Deemo
winner.
drive home the point right there. So I have Deemo 3 and Devin 2.
All right. Thanks for your input, Wally. No, we're going to go to Ryan. Ryan, give me a winner.
All right. I'm not going to go in so much details like Wally. I didn't have them broken down like him, but for the opening, I have Devin for the opening because he touched on a lot of the important things. He mentioned the 153, which is ranked as the greatest or the second greatest innings. And he basically countered, he basically not so countered, he basically outlined why Lara is the better batsman in terms of facts, in terms of numbers. Cricket is a numbers game. He's a statistician. I understand statistics to me, but that's why I can relate to what he was saying. You can leave in the comment section where I'm getting it. So based on that, I have him for that section. There was also something that Devin said, that Deemo said rather, about Sachin. In terms of longevity, Sachin started a year before Lara, but Sachin continued, 6 years after Lara. But when Lara left, Lara had more runs than Sachin. When Lara retired, I was hoping somebody that brought that up, but it wasn't really brought up that way. But the long and short of it, Lara, in his prime, overtook Sachin. And it took Sachin like 3 or 4 years to surpass Lara after that. I remember that vividly. Good. So there was another point now that where Deemo said, Devin said that Sachin was not a performer like that, which is not exactly true. Really, Sachin was not an Ian Bell who come in and bat and make 100 when England already winning. Sachin actually performed, and Sachin was, I wouldn't really say Sachin had them stats, because Sachin had a lot of big innings for his team, even though the guys above him were doing the job, because Dravid averaged 50, Batsman and them had average 40 and high 40s and so forth. I give Devin though that part where he mentioned that Lara was under way more pressure, especially batting at number 3 for quite some time in his career. And he was coming in at 1 for nothing and 20 for 2 and all of them something there, and was putting up big innings. So I'm just going through the points. I'm not going to give the breakdown like how Wally did it. I'm just going through some points.
Let's show the winner.
Yeah, man. The thing about Lara now, and Lara runs was more spread across all countries. I realized Deemo was trying to divide the subcontinent into India, but I've never heard that done before. I always hear it's a subcontinent. I've never heard India and the subcontinent, or India alone. So Deemo was trying to be witty there, so. But in terms of the subcontinent, Lara performed on the subcontinent, and Lara performed in Australia. That is a bouncy pitch, known to be bouncy and all of that, and right across the other areas in cricket, the other test playing areas in cricket. So whereas Sachin, if you look at his stats, does not have that. Lara also have 70 tests less than Sachin. I heard Deemo pointed out that something about 33 to 30. I don't remember what was that beginning, but match, one of the match or something. Something like that, yeah. But that in and of itself gives Lara the advantage because Lara played 69 tests less than Sachin. Even though he also pointed out that West Indies were not expected to win and compare it to Ireland. But even though West Indies were not expected to win all the time, Lara was expected to perform because Lara was always a top 5 batsman. Just like how Sachin, even though he had big teammates, he was also expected to perform. Another thing about Sachin now, Deemo mentioned that Sachin came into the team. Some guys came into the team after Sachin. The Batsman and those guys came in after Sachin. Sachin played cricket for 24 years, and he only mentioned the 7 years when those guys weren't there with him. So basically, he had 17 years with them, which was basically Lara's career.
Call the winner.
Yeah, so winner, I'm going to go Devin.
All right, so it's at 1-1. Gentlemen, please keep your analysis short, please.
I'm going to touch on the ODI part, but yeah, the ODI basically. All right,
keep it short, gentlemen. It's way too long. Shakes, go ahead. You're muted. All right, Shakes, even not ready, son. You ready? Go ahead.
Oh yes, sorry, sorry. My bad. I muted the mic. Yeah, but I'll just be quick, right? The moot, I'd asked the moot at the start of the debate, and I think the debate got off on the wrong foot because one man was arguing greater versus better when the moot was actually better, right? Yes, Deemo made some fair points in terms of trying to outline his criteria for choosing the quote-unquote better batsman, but he was really doing that for the greater batsman. So for the opening part, I would actually give Devin, simply because Deemo was arguing the wrong moot. Not that his information was wrong, but he was not debating the moot, right? So I would give Devin the opening. As it pertains to the rebuttal, that was easy. Deemo won that hands down. Devin went all around the world with the rebuttal. I was here sitting down wondering what he was rebutting, because I even realized that Deemo was kind of lost too in terms of the rebuttal that he was giving. So I would definitely give the rebuttal to Deemo. As it pertains to the questions that were asked, Deemo pointed out some facts, and I was very disappointed with the fact checker himself, Devin, in that he proclaimed that Deemo was lying about Lara's failures. I was highly disappointed that Devin did that. Why? Because those statistics are actually facts. Those 2 series that actually took place, Lara only performed when it was that his team had already lost the series. So I was disappointed that Devin actually proclaimed that was actually false, right? As it pertains to the pressure that that Deemo was highlighting during that question and answer section, Deemo would win that again. Before I get to the closing, because I just have 3 things, right? And I'm disappointed in both guys in terms of not trying to break down Lara versus Tendulkar in terms of their innings, hundreds, 50s, both for ODI and Test, right? And also not breaking it down in terms of the countries that they played, because anybody that does the research would realize that, oh, but it's basically evenly balanced between Lara and Tendulkar, when you compare the teams and the runs that they made the centuries, right? And in closing, I would have to give Deemo the closing, for sure. So based on what was debated tonight, I would have to give Deemo the win, even though he started the debate off on the wrong foot because
Okay.
he was simply debating greater rather than better, but his points were more solid.
Okay. Gentlemen, remember, keep it short. Vinny, go ahead. You're muted.
Good night. I don't know how you expect us to keep it short when this was really a hot debate, and it was really a good debate, gentlemen. Both of you did exceptionally well. I sat here listening to Wally talking earlier, and I wonder if he was looking at what I had written down in terms of it. But just to get going, in terms of the opening. Myself gave it to Devin. Both gentlemen presented in terms of what is it that they were defining in terms of better, greater. As I try to go quickly, why I give it to Devin is because Deemo would have outlined that what makes Tendulkar greater was stats, World Cup, longevity, pressure, but he did not give us anything where longevity is concerned. The time ran out on him, whereas Devin was able to hit the impact, hit performance under pressure, hit match winning, and hit longevity. And as you know, both of them had longevity and pressure in both batsmen as they look at both of them. But Devin was able to deal with that better in terms of the opening argument. In terms of the rebuttal, I thought both gentlemen was weak with their rebuttal in terms of what they were doing. I, however, gave it to Deemo because he talked about the players that they were playing with and the fact that Lara had some players playing with, and he was able to look at some of the things that was said by Devin and was trying to counteract it, even though not in details as he should. Devin started out well with the Michael holding and then hit Tendulkar person that he played with. But then he went off, and I think he reinforced his opening argument instead of looking at what Deemo had said and attack that. So that is why I would have given it to Deemo, because Deemo just did a little bit better job, even though I thought both of them was a little bit weak in the rebuttal. In terms of the question, both gentlemen really addressed the question that was asked of them well. I give the slighter edge to Deemo because I believe that he, in terms of answering the question, he was more to the point with some of the question that was asked, and he was clearer in his argument. And I mean, I had broken down each of the question, but as Levon trying to get us to go to go quickly, both of them answered the last question very well. Both of them answered the second one fairly well. Deemo the edge again with the first one. In terms of the closing argument, I did give the closing argument to Devin because I believe that he came back again and reinforce and this is the thing, you see the pressure, both of them talk about performance under pressure, longevity. I am not looking at whether I know cricket, yes or no. I'm just looking at and listening to both of them presenting on this particular topic. And when Devin's highlight what it means to play under pressure, as opposed to Deemo, who talks about persons religious and I think Devin said, listen, it's not about religion, where you perform, how you perform, who you're batting with. That was really well done. You understand? And this has the longevity where Devin would have pulled out that, listen, me, even though Sachin played longer, those later innings were not as impactful. So, so Devin did a better job of that in terms of coming back again in the closing argument. So for me, it was because we can't have a tie, so I give it 50.51-49 to Devin for the mere fact that both of them would have had the argument pretty much the same argument as they look at greater and better. But Devin would have done a better job in the longevity, in the pressure argument, and then Devin would have thrown out the stats by agreeing that if we were looking at greater, then stats would be it. And
All
yes,
right,
it would be
Vinny.
10
All
darker, but
right,
it is
Vinny. All
younger.
right, Vinny.
So because of that, Devin slightly.
Boy, Steven, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes any at all. I'm being honest, and I'm glad that I'm not in your shoes. So the winner of this debate will come down to you. It's your perception. So Steven, go ahead.
All right. No, I really won't be long for sure. Right. So basically, as somebody who loves cricket, I was disappointed in both gentlemen. They were very good, but every stat is in relation, and I was disappointed, especially in Devin as a statsman, in terms of ratios. He has the most runs, and the most runs in relation to how many matches. You understand? So I was really disappointed that that didn't come out. And in the rebuttal, um, the subcontinent was mentioned, and I believe Deemo fell down when he mentioned India. But Brian Lara averaged 58 on the subcontinent. So I thought Devin would have cornered him and destroyed him right there, you know. And but I think overall, Devin, as Vinny just said, Deemo tried to give other criteria, but Devin smartly wheeled him down and backed him into a corner to ask him to define what pressure is. And he kept on going back to religion. And that is where I think Devin nicked it. Because what he did, he went and he looked at Sachin's stats when Sachin had to come in with wickets down, because that was not often for India in the career with Laxman, Sehwag, etc. So he took that and I think he dropped down to 40 or something like that, while Lara's went up, you know, and so I think he went well, and I think Devin is the winner. I think Deemo, though, it was very close. He could have won the debate by bringing up Sarwan and Shandapal, and the times that Lara would have batted with Shandapal and Sarwan in a statistical way.
You didn't.
But you didn't bring it up in a statistical way. To say he batted with Shandapal 10 times, Sarwan 10 times, and this is what happened. So Devin and Deemo, well done, but a clever use of stats by Devin. Devin, you're my winner tonight.
And with that being said, congratulations, Devin, on being victorious against the Guru. So, Devin, big congrats, man. Deemo, well done. This doesn't taint you any bit from being the Guru, but you fight to live another day. You can have a final say, Deemo. Just go ahead.
I'll just say congratulations to the fact checker. Listen, it was a good debate. Yeah, like the judges said, I mean, they have a better standpoint to judge the debate on. They're the ones listening. I mean, we have to go through all of the sheets and the papers we have, and we might miss some stuff and all of that. So again, big up to Devin. Great debate. I mean, I'm not a sore loser. I'll take it. It was very close, and yeah, big up yourself, you.
All right, so judges, I'm going to let you guys go because I want the winner to have the final say. I'm going to just have him alone on the screen so we can capture that moment and repost it on our channel. So, judges, Ryan, thank you for being here, boss. Appreciate it. Vinny, thank you as well. Wally, big up as always. Thank you. Shakes, thank you as well, man. And Steven, keep on flying our flag, guy, man. Big up yourself. Thanks for being here. All right. So, Devin, this moment is all yours. So I'm just going to come off screen and you just go ahead and pick up yourself on your victory, man. So I'm just going to go back screen and just have you talk for a minute so we can have that to put on our YouTube channel. So
No, all right, respect, big up to everybody. But one thing must be said, big up to my opponent. And where the judges mention all these things, like especially with these facts and everything, for both of us, 5 minutes to mention all these things is kind of difficult. So even the part where I think Shakes was saying, I don't remember which one of the judges was saying, Lara's stats in whatever continent. I have it right here. Lara's stats in another continent here. Also the aspect about, you know, when he batted with whatever, we have it. And I think somebody was also, I think Ryan was saying, I have a stat to say when Lara made 100, when Lara made 50, or it impacted on the team. Is that it was so much just to put it. So two times when I did it, it was 10 minutes. Then I had to condense my first argument to 4 minutes. So I just wanted to stick to the whole aspect. And I take what the judges say, just in case I have to do any more debate in the future, to mention those points. Congrats to my opponent, because my opponent would have shown me some aspects where I went wrong. But I tried to stick to the mood in terms of better and trying to mention it. Right? So I get the aspect where in terms of rebutting. And I'm just humbling saying this because, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is all about the debate and trying to get a style and going back into the groove. So I felt good in terms of I've done this in a while, but I always could do the research and I have all the stats. But I take the fact to say just to represent Sports Frenzzyy going in the future, if I have the time, what I could do better. Big up to Deemo. And, you know, congrats on being a good debate and making it better at this. Big up to everybody. And the fact checker. I'm not the all-rounder anymore. Anytime you mention my name, don't call me all-rounder. I'm just the fact checker. I think I love that name.
All right, Devin. Big up, Devin. And thanks to you, the viewers, for making this possible. And keep on supporting us until we see again, hopefully, which will be tomorrow. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your night. And remember to leave a like on the video before you guys leave. So big up everybody. Bye.